Targets and lease lines are points in space that the user can save and then use for activities such as well planning, plotting charts, and real-time anti-collision. This video will introduce the user to creating and configuring targets and lease lines in WellSeeker Pro. The Targets dialog can be opened by right-clicking on field level or below in your database tree, and then selecting Targets. However, when creating a new target, the level that you choose is important as it dictates what your vertical and horizontal reference points are. When you open the Targets dialog, you can see your vertical reference point here and your horizontal reference point here. When you open the Targets dialog at field, facility, or well level, the vertical reference point is the system datum set in your field properties. By default, this is just mean sea level. Plans and actual wells can be assigned a rotary table elevation in their properties. When you open targets at their level, this is what is used for the vertical reference. The horizontal reference point is the surface location of whichever level you open the targets dialog at, and is set in the respective properties. So for example, if I open the targets dialog at well level, my horizontal reference will be the well surface location that I set in the well properties. Plans and actual wells cannot be assigned a surface location. They use the surface location of their parent well. If you create a target at one level and then open the targets dialog at another level, WellSeeker will recalculate the coordinates of the target so that it is still in the same place but is now using the new reference points. For example, I have created a target at plan level that is 1,000 meters deep when referenced to a rotary table elevation of 100 meters above mean sea level. If I open the targets dialog at well level, my vertical reference is now mean sea level, so the vertical depth has been recalculated to 900 meters. To create a new target, click on the plus icon in the toolbar at the top of the dialog. Give your target a name, and then enter the TVD of the center of the target. Remember to enter the correct depth relative to your current reference point. There are three ways to enter the horizontal location of the target center. The first is local. This is simply the distance north and the distance east from the horizontal reference point. Use negative values for south and west. At the bottom of the dialog, you can enter your local coordinates as a horizontal displacement along a certain azimuth. Enter your desired values and click on Calculate. The program will work out the local coordinates for you. The second way is to enter the location as grid northings and eastings. And the third way is to enter the latitude and longitude. In these two cases, the coordinates are absolute and do not use the horizontal reference point. Instead, they are referenced to your coordinate reference system, also known as the mapping grid. If you use one of these two methods, then the other method will automatically calculate, so you can use them to double check what you have entered. As an example, I'll use the following local coordinates. Once you have entered your target coordinates, click on the Save icon in the toolbar to save your changes. The right-hand side of the dialog is where you configure the shape of your target. There are 5 shapes available: point, circle, ellipse, rectangle, and polygon. Newly created targets start off as the point type. As this is just a point in space, it does not have any customization options. Circle, ellipse, and rectangle targets have up to 6 customization settings. As an example, I will make an elliptical target. The target size setting is required, but the other settings are optional and need to be activated before they can be configured. Target thickness allows you to turn the target into a 3D shape. Formation properties allows you to add a dip angle to the target. The dip azimuth value sets the direction of the slope. Aiming point offset from center allows you to shift the outside of the target without moving the center point. In circular and elliptical targets, the arc properties option allows you to create a half moon or semicircular shaped target. And rotation allows you to rotate the target around the axis perpendicular to its face. Don't forget to save your changes after you have customized your target shape. Polygon allows you to create any target shape that you want. This is done by entering the coordinates of the corners of the shape, which WellSeeker will then connect up. Polygons are also the only targets that you can designate as lease lines. I will create a new target so that I can demonstrate an example lease line. Before you enter your coordinates, choose whether you want to use local or map coordinates. Local coordinates are north-south and east-west displacements from the target center that you set in the left of the dialog. Map coordinates use grid northings and eastings. Next, enter your coordinates into the table. I will paste in some example coordinates. Make sure that the first and last coordinate is the same. This will close off the shape. You can now choose to customize the formation properties, target thickness, and rotation of the shape just like with the previous shape types. Remember to save your changes. If you click on the Is a Lease Line checkbox, the polygon is turned into a lease line, which WellSeeker treats as a separate category of target. Lease lines are mostly used for displaying on charts and in the real-time anti-collision feature. Lease lines do not appear in the standard list of targets on the left of the dialog. In order to see lease lines, click on the Show Lease Lines checkbox at the top of the dialog. This will hide regular targets and allow you to see any lease line that you have created. Now that I have created a target and a lease line, we can take a look at the places that they are most commonly used in WellSeeker: well planning, plotting on charts, and real-time anti-collision. After creating a target, it can be used in well planning. If you select a planning tool that requires you to navigate to a point, you can choose to navigate to a target instead. For example, I will choose the Dogleg Toolface Tangent Curve Hold Planning tool, and I will navigate to the target I created earlier. After I hit Calculate, you can see the target listed in the planning grid at the top. Regardless of the target shape that you set up, the planning tool will aim for the center point of the target. Another common use for targets and lease lines is displaying them on plots. When viewing a section, plan, or 3D plot, double-click on the chart to open the chart properties. The target section in the bottom right controls how targets are displayed on the chart. Toggle on Display Targets to make targets and lease lines visible on the chart. You can then toggle target names and lease line names to display on the chart. You can customize the color and line style of your targets, and you can choose to hide any unwanted targets or lease lines. As an example, I will display the target and the lease line that I created, and I will change the color of the lease line. Lease lines can be used in the real-time anti-collision feature. If a lease line is assigned to an actual well, it will show up in the anti-collision results table. Set the maximum acceptable distance to lease lines at the top of the dialog, and then leave the RTAC dialog open while drilling. If you get too close to a lease line, WellSeeker will display a warning. When a target is created, it is automatically assigned to all the items in the database tree above the level where it was created, but it is not assigned to any items at the same level or below it. For example, the target I created was for this plan. I have an actual well under the same well as the plan, but if I open the targets dialog, the target is not available in the list. To assign the target to this actual well, we need to use a drop-down at the top of the dialog to move up to a higher level. If I move all the way up to field level, I can now see the target, and I can see that it's assigned at field, facility, and well level, but not actual well level. To assign it to my actual well, I just need to check the box under Actual. While I am here, I will also switch over to Lease Lines and assign the lease line I created to the actual well. Then I just need to save my changes and close the dialog. Now that the target and lease line are assigned to the actual well, I can use them in the same way I did for my plan.